Voting isn't just going to the polls anymore on Election Day. Options like early voting, mail-in voting, and ballot drop boxes are available to more voters and are growing in popularity. How to Vote is a tool created by Democracy Works, and it breaks down the options your state offers by forecasting a ballot, empowering you to decide where and when to vote. Democracy works best when we all vote, but misinformation and confusion about election procedures have resulted in low voter turnout. How to Vote takes the guesswork out of the voting process. It is easy to use and helps folks from all over the country overcome many of the process barriers to voting. It is committed to helping you vote no matter what. You can use the How to Vote tool to sign up for election reminders, see what's on your ballot, get step-by-step assistance requesting your mail ballot, explore your options for returning your mail-in ballot, check your voter registration status, and find your local polling site, and make sure that you have an appropriate ID to bring with you. Decide when and where you'll vote this year at howto.vote.
Hello and welcome to the formal review. Today, we will be looking at the 2018 film, Roma. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the review.
Hey everybody, and welcome back, episode 35. Now before I get started on today's episode, I do want to say, as with all episodes, there are possibility for some spoilers. As I would say, try to go see the film before you have to hear what I have to say about it. It's always better to see the film first, but if you don't care about that, keep listening. So Roma is a drama film written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who also produced, shot, and co-edited it. It stars Yalitza Aparicio and Marina de Tavira. It is set during 1970, 1971, and is a somewhat autobiographical take on Cuarón's upbringing in the Colonia Roma neighborhood of Mexico City. And essentially looks at the life of a live-in housekeeper of a middle-class family. The main woman of this story is Cleo, played by Aparicio, and she is a servant for a wealthy family living in Mexico City. She is not just a maid to this family. She actually feels more part of the family, but there are plenty of times where she is looked at as an employee and not a member of the family. She goes on trips with the family, the children love who she are, part of her life, but she has to take the blame for leaving the lights on when she's not supposed to. She's reminded constantly that she's not part of the family. Not in the direct way of saying, even though they do treat her as a part of the family and that she is loved by everyone there, at the end of the day, she has to remember is that she does work for them. But the Cleo is very quiet and she wants to do a good job, so she tries to stay out of the family drama, especially with the husband. One day Cleo finds out that she's pregnant and the child's father disappears, and she doesn't really know how this future is going to play out. This woman who's essentially preparing herself to be a mother while also supporting this other family. And go into what exactly happened would be spoilers, so I'm not going to go into it, but I do think it's a very tragic story of what really shows the differences between these two groups of people, help versus the white Mexican family, and how that is a very different societal difference. And I think Cuarón really knows how to look at this because, like I said, it is a very semi-autobiographical film in that he is showing this person's point of view because she helped raise him as much as his mother did, even trying to remain positive through a lot of negativity that was going on in their lives. And I think shooting this in completely black and white really takes you into the past. It creates this memory aspect to it because very little films nowadays are black and white. And I think that really does create this timely aspect to it because you look at the films that were black and white that's taking you back years and years ago. That adds a lot to it. And the fact that we know that this film that's in the past, you see the appreciation and the love that Cuarón is putting into how he makes this film. A lot of that appreciation and how, because this is essentially his story, really shows in the filmmaking. He's showing this world. He tries to show what's going on in the world around them, as well as progressing the story. And that was a very interesting take because of how relatively simple this story is. But it's a story that's happening around a lot of chaos. There's a riot going on, there's family drama going on, but Cleo is trying to keep everything concentrated into a happier motif. as the film progresses, all this chaos is coming to a T, and you can kind of see where this film is going to go. But I think that imagery that Cuarón uses is something that really shows this world that they're living in. Similarly to in Beale Street Could Talk, he shows the details of this world, and that's what makes the story definitely progress, because of his use of the camera and his use to get you invested in these characters, especially Cleo, who is wonderfully played by Aparicio. I think that she does a fantastic job playing a mostly silent character, and that there are a few scenes that really show who she is as an actress, who has a lot going on inside of her own head, but is trying to remain sane in all of it, and trying to be a good worker toward this family, trying to become part of this family even though she's never going to be. And I think that comment on how society is very interesting. The problem with this film is that it's very slow. There wasn't enough progression of character, and even though the comment on society had a decent message, it didn't really drive it home. It was trying to tell the message a little bit too abstractly. Even though I understood it, it wasn't really a strong enough message to where I came out of it really feeling passionate about the issue. It's showing you this issue that's a problem, but it's not really commenting on where we can go from here or what we can do from this. But that's something that's very subjective when it comes to flaws. I just didn't really think that it really captured that message as well as it could have, and for me that's what kept it from not feeling really long. I felt this movie was immensely long in showing this story, and when not a lot happens for the first 2/3 of it, it's kind of dwindling on. Once you get to the third act, a lot happens, and that's where this film really pushes through and really makes it worth it. But at the end of the day, the direction, the imagery is fantastic, and I think Alfonso Cuarón does a fantastic job when it comes to directing this film, and when it comes to making this film is perfect. But I think the story was a little, and for that reason alone, I wouldn't knock it down, because it took me a while to really get into this story. But at the end of the day, I would still think this is a well-made film. I would rate this film a 4.5 out of 5 bow ties. Now, let me know what you thought of the film. Hit me up on social media. The URL's all the same on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's at The Formal Review. You can check out Box Office Buzz as well. They have a huge database when it comes to movie news, TV news, video games, music, and I also do some retrospective reviews on there, so check those out. We only got one episode left. We're talking about my favorite films of 2018, and then we'll be talking about the Oscars. Now, I do want to thank you all once again for tuning in. I definitely appreciate it. I get to talk about movies, and people are listening, so I really thank everyone for listening to me every episode. And for those who have supported on a financial base, I definitely appreciate that, and it definitely makes these episodes really possible. So if you haven't started supporting, please go to anchor.com/the-formal-review. Click support this podcast. Any contribution is appreciated. And so you never miss an episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast service, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and also leave reviews. I check them out just to see how I'm doing. I'm always willing to improve and grow. As with all reviews, there is music in the background. I do not own the rights to this music, but I include it because it's a big part of the film, and I definitely want to try to create this environment of what the film represents. And the music in the background for this episode was from the Roma original motion picture soundtrack, released by Columbia Records on December 14th, 2018. Thanks once again for tuning in, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Formal Review. We hope you'll join us again.